So it's that time of year where a lot of us are thinking about our New Year's resolutions, and many of us are wanting to start journaling. Or maybe you've tried journaling before, but you've never been able to stay consistent with it, and this is the year that you're wanting to do so. So naturally, you grab one of the many journals that you have lying around that you never use, you sit down and you plan to start journaling. But then you look at the journal and you're like, wait a second, I don't really know where to start, I don't know what to do, and you just get really in your head about how to journal. So if this sounds like you, then keep on watching. Hello everyone, my name is Carrie Walker and happy almost New Year. It is time to get serious about journaling. New Year's is the prime time to start journaling, and if you already journal, New Year's is a great time to kind of like reset and refresh your journaling. That's what I try to do at least. Clearly I'm very obsessed with journaling, and I also have plenty of YouTube videos about different things regarding journaling, but maybe when you're looking at my YouTube channel you don't really know where to start because there's just a lot of different things to think about. So that's why today I am making a video that is kind of like the ultimate guide for journaling that you can reference to hopefully summarize all of the bits and pieces and things to think about. I actually made a playlist that's linked down below that has 10 different videos of mine that I think are, in my opinion, the most helpful videos to kind of summarize everything you need to know to start a journal and just like journaling in general. In today's video, I'm kind of just going to be like giving a breakdown of what that playlist includes and kind of go into a little bit of some details. But once you're done watching this video, definitely check out that playlist and see like the further details and breakdown of each individual thing that I mentioned in today's video if you want to have like a deeper dive into all of those different things. But I get it, we're all busy with the holiday season and the new year and stuff, so that's why this video is just kind of like a quick summary of what you need to know. So get out a pen and paper, maybe even your journal if you want to write in there. Take some notes and let's start to make your plan of journaling in 2023, because without a plan it will be a lot harder to succeed. Alright, so the first video in the playlist is different kinds of journals to keep. This is just to kind of give you some ideas of what kind of journals you can have. For example, I use a daily journal. It's kind of just like a catch-all journal that I have like all of my thoughts and plans and everything in. But there's also other ideas if you want to have like more creative outlets, if you want it to be more artistic. There's a lot of different routes that you can take a journal. So figuring out which kind fits best for you can be really helpful and help narrow your focus on the kinds of things that you want to include in your journal so that you feel a little bit less overwhelmed. Once you figure out the kind of journal that you want to keep, because again, there's seriously so many different kinds of journals you can keep, and ultimately at the end of the day, it can be whatever you want. If you just want it to be random thoughts throughout the day, you can have it be that. If you want it to be like third-person perspective stories of your life, it can be like that too. But just because you know what kind of journal you want to keep doesn't mean you know how to do it. So that's why the second video is a how-to journal video. But to save you some time, the short and sweet summary is that you need something to write with, you need a journal, and you need to write. Again, that video goes more in depth on like what that all entails. But the number one rule that I can tell you is that there is no right or wrong way to journal. Well, I guess there's a right way. The right way would just be like whatever works for you, but the right way for you isn't going to be the right way for me or anyone else necessarily. What's great about journaling is that it is like a giant umbrella where there's a place for everybody. Even if you think that journaling isn't for you, although I like recognize it's not for everybody, at the same time I kind of just feel like it's because you just haven't found your place in journaling, you just haven't found what works best for you. And it's also important to remember that it's not easy. Journaling should overall de-stress you, relax you, make you feel happy, and help elevate your life, but being consistent with it is not always easy, and it's important to be able to differentiate that so that you don't associate journaling with like the frustration of trying to stay consistent. So when you have like a better grasp on how to journal and what kind of journal you're keeping, I also have a video on just some general tips and tricks on journaling, things that will help you really succeed. Also, if you guys have any tips and tricks, please share them down below because I'm always trying to learn. I always want to know how I can make my journaling better, easier, more exciting. And one of the tips that I want to share in this video is that exploring the different kinds of journaling can really help you navigate what works best for you. So for example, there's a kind of journaling called stream of consciousness journaling where you literally just write down whatever comes to your mind like immediately. Even if it doesn't make sense, you just like brain dump everything. And I've done brain dumps before where I just like write what's on my mind, but usually it's still like through the lens of trying to be kind of cohesive with what I'm saying so that like when I read back on it, I can like really follow the thought process. process that I had there. However, I was always kind of like, not against stream of consciousness journaling, but I was kind of like hesitant to do it myself because, I don't know, it felt like it broke down the image that I had of myself where I wanted to have more structured thoughts. And I always felt like I would be scared to look back on like a stream of consciousness and read it and be like, that makes no sense. But then I tried it and I actually really enjoyed it. It was like very therapeutic to kind of like break down that idea of what I wanted for myself and to kind of like put down that wall and just write and just like not think about what my future self would think looking back on it, not think about like how I would feel judging myself currently, and just like get rid of all of that for a minute to just kind of get everything off of your mind and off of your chest, and it felt so relieving. So that's just a little tip I wanted to share with you guys because there are so many different tips and tricks to journaling. That's just one that I wanted to share now, but I encourage you to just be like a sponge with all of the tips and tricks. Take them all in, really feel it out, try it out for yourself, and then like whatever you don't like or use, just like squeeze it out like a sponge, get rid of it. You don't need to use it, but I still encourage you to absorb it, try it out, and then get rid of it if you don't want it. But then, you know, keep it in, keep using it if it helps you. I don't know if that made any sense, but whatever. Next, you need to make some rules for yourself. Rules gives you structure. That is the best way to have a plan for your journaling to help you stay consistent. The rules that I have for myself is that I have to journal every day, I have to write at least 1 page a day, and I have to start before midnight. Those are the 3 main rules I have. I have other rules as well, but those are the 3 main ones, and that just like helps me keep myself accountable and stay on track and on top of my journaling. Because if I just said I'm gonna journal whenever I feel like it, for me personally, I would probably push it off because I'm such a busy person, and I would just be like, oh, I'm gonna journal eventually, like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, oh, I'll do it the next day, and then I'd get busy again and I would just keep pushing it off. So having like that daily structure for myself is really helpful. Even if you don't do it every day, you could say I'm gonna journal 3 times a week. Even better, saying on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday I'm gonna journal, or I'm gonna journal on the weekends, or maybe if you come up with like a certain format of how you journal. And also I want to say it's helpful to come up with like your 100% have to happen rules. So like, again, things like for me, journaling every day, that's something that I have to do. And then like more loose rules of things that you strive for, but it's okay if you don't always achieve it. For example, a rule for myself, I guess, is I want to have a nice, thoughtful journal entry. I want to fill all the lines with words and whatnot, and I want to write about how my day was. That's like the goal, the rule, I guess, but it's okay if I break that rule when I get really busy, when I get really stressed, when I'm really tired, and sometimes I just rush through my journal entry just to go to bed. Now, I don't always do that, and I try not to do that because, again, that rule for myself is that I want to have a more thoughtful journal entry where I add color and thoughts and stories, but it's okay if that doesn't always happen. So figuring out your like have to happen rules versus your would like to happen rules can definitely be helpful when you write in your journal. Now let's talk about some journaling essentials. So maybe now you're feeling a little bit more confident about journaling, but you're still like, what the heck do I use to journal? Obviously you need some journals, obviously you need something to write with, but like what specifically should you be looking for? As you can see, I have used a million different kinds of journals. You really can't go wrong, except you can. And what I mean by that is there are so many different brands out there that are really good journals to write in, but there are probably some that are not as good. Regardless of price, what they look like, whatever, the number one thing I think you should look out for when figuring out what kind of journal you want to use is make sure the journal is like bound well, that it is sturdy and it's not gonna fall apart if you use it a few times. We want our journals to last not just when we write in them, but for years after that when you keep them and look back on them. So just make sure that the journal that you use feels very sturdy and strong. I'm really not that picky when it comes to the brand of journal that I write in, but I will say I am very picky with my pens that I write in. And side note, please write in pen, don't write in pencil. Writing in pencil is just so horrible in my opinion. But the pen that I use is the Pentel Energel pen. Literally obsessed with it. I use it every single day. But ultimately when it comes to supplies, you need to find what works best for you. Just like I mentioned, exploring different kinds of journaling and like ways to journal, you should also explore different kinds of stationery. The kind of pen that you use will be different for everyone, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever I use different kinds of pens, my handwriting gets like slightly different depending on like the grip and feel of the pen, the kind of ink that it has. And like even with journals too, when I first start writing in a journal, sometimes it feels really weird, and then like I'll get used to it a little bit more and I really like it. Some of them I really love right off the bat. Just like try out different things and see what works best for you. And if you're wanting to know a little bit more about my journaling supplies recommendations, then check out that journaling essentials video that I have in the playlist linked down below. And now we're going to talk about handwriting. handwriting. I know I kind of already just mentioned it. Different pens can slightly alter your handwriting, but overall, handwriting is not necessarily something that is like stuck with you for life. You can change your handwriting. So if you have really horrible chicken scratch handwriting, you are not doomed. You can practice your handwriting. You can learn about like the different parts of what makes handwriting good versus bad, what things look a little bit nicer to you, whatever it may be, and kind of really understand what handwriting is and different things you can do to improve it. Ultimately, handwriting is such a beautiful thing in my opinion because it's kind of like your own written fingerprint. Everybody's handwriting is unique to them. They have their own way of like writing language, and that is just so cool to me. So I will say try to embrace your natural handwriting, but at the same time, please make sure that it is legible, because the last thing that you want is to look back on a journal entry that you wrote years ago and have no idea what it says because your handwriting is just illegible. So try to find that balance between like accepting your natural handwriting the way that it is, but also trying to like finesse it so that you get it to like its full potential. So we've gone over different journals to keep, how to journal, some tips and tricks, rules for yourself, journaling essentials, and how to improve your handwriting. You are ready to write. But you might be asking, what do I even say? What do I write? And I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times if I need to. You can write whatever you want. But I know that like hearing that isn't always helpful. You might like be aware of the fact that you can write whatever, but you still might be like, okay, but like what are some ideas? Like I get that I can write whatever I want, but like maybe you just want some more structure or something to follow. I feel like one of the easiest ways to like start writing about something is to just write about what is currently on your mind. A lot of the times that's just like how your day went. That's like what you're thinking about. So just try giving like a recap of your day, or maybe your week, or maybe write about what you want to do tomorrow. Writing about very objective things is a great place to start when you're trying to get into journaling. One of the things that I recommend a lot of people start with when they're new to journaling is writing about you, because that's a really easy thing to do. Like when you write about the objective things like I am this tall, I have this color hair, my eyes are this color, I am this age. And once you feel comfortable writing about more objective things like your day, things that have happened, etc., you can then get into writing about more subjective things like ideas and thoughts and your vision for the future, or reflections on things, and really get into that analysis and self-work. You can write about the really big things in life, like what's going on in the world, the people in your life, or you can write about the really tiny specific details of your day, things that have crossed your mind. I feel like it's so important to try to slow down in this like crazy technological world with so much stimulation around. So being like mindful in your life and just slowing down to breathe is really important, but then to write about it and call it out is so important as well. It takes it to a new level. And so just try writing about all of the things that you can think about. Try different things each day or whenever you sit down to write, and then just see what sticks. See what works best for you. When you're writing though, it's really important to be honest in your journaling. And that's not to say that you're necessarily going to be like writing about straight up lies in your journal, because I really don't think that most of us are doing that, because like why would we? But what I mean by that is try to make sure that it's true to who you are. And the way to do that is to really just like think deeper, dive deeper into your thoughts, how you're living your life, how you want to live your life, and just be aware of that and then write about it. To be honest in your journaling, you have to be honest in your life to yourself, and to be honest to yourself, you have to be honest in your journaling. It kind of goes back and forth like that. Being consistent is also a really important thing when it comes to journaling, because a lot of the times if you're not consistent, we end up falling off and forgetting about it. So that kind of goes back to one of the rules you can have for yourself. Identify how frequent you want to journal and try your very best to stay consistent with that by setting reminders for yourself, telling other people to help hold you accountable, maybe find a journaling buddy, do whatever you need to. But at the same time, if you do miss a day or you mess up on your schedule or whatever, do not let that hold you back. I know I'm guilty of things like that because I tend to be like an all or nothing person. So that like, for example, if I miss out a day on the gym, then I end up skipping the whole week, which like is not the best thing to do. So try to change your mindset. Instead of it being like an all or nothing kind of thing, shift it more towards like something is better than nothing. And 50 years from now, when you look back on your journal entries from 50 years before, you'll be really grateful that you have 364 journal entries, because even though it's not 365, that's still way better than nothing. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on is try using journal prompts. I recently came out with a video with 31 different journal prompts that I'm going to be using in the month of January. You don't need to use it every day. You can just pick and choose which ones you like that you might want to try out. But I really think that journaling prompts can help guide your journaling if you don't don't really know what to write about, if you're having writer's block, or even just like take your journaling to a different level, because you'll write about different things that you might not have thought about on your own. I honestly want to start using them more because I used to be kind of like against them, but I do think that it can help like kickstart your thought process and again like introduce new ideas to your journaling that you wouldn't have thought to write about. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Again, check out that playlist if you want to hear like the more in-depth versions of all of the things that I said in this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so that you can be a part of the journaling army, and turn on post notifications so that you're notified for all of the upcoming New Year's journaling video content. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.